My name is Angela Musalam. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Placer County Sheriff's Office. Thank you again for everybody who is here today as we discuss another update to the search and the investigation into missing 16-year-old Kiely Rodni. We have entered day 5 of the search, and we continue to utilize all local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to help Kiely's family get some closure, and we're hoping to bring Kiely back home to her family safely. Now, with that being said, we are going to provide an update to the investigation on her search, and with that, I'm going to toss it over to Placer County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Josh Barnhart.
Good afternoon. I want to start again by thanking the family of Kiely and just how supportive they've been of our efforts in conjunction with working the investigation and the search and rescue. I want to commend the community for coming together and taking part of this as well, and all of the efforts the community has put forth in the search and rescue, and also by providing tips to us. I just want to give you a little update about the investigation side. We're sending detectives out on the tips that we're receiving for follow-up. To date, we've received over 500 tips. We're following up right now on over 380 leads, including email leads of over 300. Our request at this point is if you have video of that night, detectives want more of it. There has been a lot of video provided, and some of it had to do with a fight that occurred at the party. Detectives right now are asking for any additional video that you have. So again, we urge you that you would please bring that forward. Again, we'll refer you to the tip line. If you have any issues with the tip line and getting through, there's an alternate email that we've provided. And as it came up in our community meeting last night, if you are hesitating coming forward to law enforcement, please go to someone that you trust, and I urge you to go to that person to come forward to law enforcement, and they can help you do that. Thank you.
I'd like to now turn it over to Nevada County Sheriff's Office Captain Sam Brown, who will discuss today's efforts of the search and rescue.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're continuing our search. Nothing has slowed down. In fact, I believe we have about the same amount of searchers as we had yesterday, over 100 volunteers, as well as sworn staff, CalOES, and all kinds of people. We remain in unified command. Our partners with the Placer County Sheriff's Office have been amazing. CHP has provided us with a lot of space, resources, experts in certain fields, Truckee Police Department. Everybody that's been here, including CAL FIRE and other folks that you wouldn't even necessarily expect to be here, have been great partners and are giving different pieces of experience and expertise to help us sustain and keep this going. To date, we have 4,500 man hours put into the search alone, which is astronomical in the period of time. We had an earlier meeting today with pretty much experts in the field within California, as well as people from CalOES that oversee the entire search system for the state, and the law duty officers that answer within that to help us with mutual aid and things of that nature. We are still lacking clues, and so our searches are based off of probabilities of scenarios and different types of incidents. And so I would echo what my partner, Lieutenant Barnhart, had said, that we need information and we need clues. We need people to give us things, even if it's seemingly small. But we're going to continue our efforts, and I really want to thank the family. They've been pretty amazing. We're not coming forth with the answers that they're wanting, and we know that. That's hard for us, but the family has been amazing for us, and both mom and dad have been active players as well as the rest of the family, and trying to make sure we do the best we can for them. So thank you.
I'd like to now direct everybody's attention back to that board. You're looking at a very recent photo taken of Kiely about a month before she disappeared. We want you to pay attention to her jewelry. She's wearing very distinctive gold-colored necklaces, 1, 2, 3 necklaces, and we do believe that these were the same pieces of jewelry that she was wearing when she went missing. This photo was sent to us by her family, and out of respect for the family, we are releasing this photo and just urging everybody to please pay attention if anybody comes across these pieces of jewelry, if anybody locates anything, to please immediately contact the Placer County Sheriff's Office or the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
There was mention of video of a fight. Is that in any way connected to the disappearance?
The only thing I can say is that they have not found a connection yet to it. Obviously, it's being taken into consideration.
And this case is receiving a lot of help from larger agencies, the FBI, Homeland Security at one point. What is it about this case that's attracting so much help from these larger resources?
So as you know, when you are under the age of 18, you're a minor, you're considered very at risk, right? And you're missing. To this day, we still have not been able to locate Kiely or her vehicle. And that's very disturbing for us, for her family, and for the entire community. And because we are treating this case as an abduction solely as a result of her vehicle not being located, that now intensifies the search. And so we, again, will not leave any stone unturned, and we have requested the help of every agency who is willing to help us, and that does include many local, regional, state, and federal agencies, and we're very grateful for their help.
And just clarification, you're treating it like an abduction but not labeling it an abduction?
Correct.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. Oh, yes,
Why
sir.
have some of the signs in town been changed to trash and debris and not with our information still? The little flashing orange signs, the fire department had put them stuff. It used to say Kiely or description and stuff, but now it's saying bring your trash and debris to us instead.
I don't have an answer for you. The Sheriff's Office doesn't control the signs you're talking about, but we can surely inquire and ask. Yeah, we've had lots of discussion about signage. One thing I will throw out is that Code Red and Everbridge, they're the two alert systems. Most people within Nevada County and Placer County are aware of those systems. They're used for emergencies, fires, things of that nature, not typically with missing persons. Due to the struggles of trying to get certain messaging out and higher level messaging, we started releasing our Everbridge and Code Red messages today to include phone call, text message, and email. Some people may not have received it yet. It may take throughout the entire day to have that go out. Somewhat complex to send a message to, say, 100 or 300,000 people, and that will clog up the system. So it's done in a phased approach, but we're trying to compensate for some of those things that are lacking. We've even heard that maybe signs were being pulled down in certain areas of missing posters. Luckily, through the Code Red system and things like that, I don't have as much experience with Everbridge, but we have about an 80% enrollment for Nevada County. So out of our 100,000 residents, that message should hit about 80,000 residents, and could even be non-residents if they ended up registering for our system. So we're trying to compensate for some of those things. I would just like to reemphasize, I mean, I think the reason that everybody is in this room right now is this is getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people are aware of it. The more messaging that we get out, we firmly believe is a better way to do business. But most people are aware, and we're trying to make sure that everybody's aware to the best of our tools. There is still business and things that have to go on in life, and some of those entities that aren't working in our system maybe aren't as aware of, hey, like even though you have these responsibilities for debris or trash, that, hey, we could still use some of that help and things like that. But there are still other things that do need to go on. Our emphasis is in the search for Kiely, and we're putting that energy into it.
Is there a specific area, geographic area, where the search is being conducted? I mean, we were talking about searching, but is there a specific location, or is it still pretty broad at this point?
Tough to answer. I mean, to truthfully answer, we have a point last seen and a point last known, and that's confirmed by digital evidence and individuals, and that's our focus. And so when we meet with all these experts in the field and we say, hey, here's our search, here's what we've done, here are the amount of hours and tracks and different things that are going into it, are we missing something? And the answer in the room is no. So then you start to play out your scenarios of, is this a missing person who went off the road? Is this a traffic collision that occurred? Is this some sort of an abduction or even a violent crime or any of those types of scenarios? And then you have to start to think is, how does that search then get impacted by that? And the amount of time that's elapsed, somebody could cross into a different country, a different continent, all kinds of things could happen. And so to focus a search is complicated. So the reason we're constantly in front of the media, trying to do community meetings, trying to use Code Red, trying to work on things like the Amber Alert and things that people are really frustrated about. We just want the word out so that people are looking, and we're getting tips from all over the country. I don't know that any of those have panned out, but we're getting tips from all over the place. And we have other countries that are even asking and wanting to talk to the family. So there's support, I think, because people feel that they could be in this same situation themselves. We just want word out so that more eyes are out, because we don't have an exact spot to look for. And that is unusual, especially with a large object like a car.
Is a navel piercing, is that a unique piece of jewelry? And also in the beginning, there was reports of a nose piercing as well. Are there two unique pieces of jewelry there too? Because that looks pretty unique, other than just the necklaces. Is there anything about that that we should be looking for? Because you just asked us to look for necklaces. Has there been any thought about that?
She certainly does have numerous piercings with numerous types of body jewelry, but at this point we're focusing on her jewelry.
On the necklaces?
We were told that she always wears this type of jewelry. And so in case anybody from family or friends is searching for her and maybe happens to come across these necklaces, we'd want anybody who comes across this to please call us immediately, because that certainly will provide us a new tip in a new direction.
There have been mention of rewards for tips. Do you guys have anything on that?
We don't have any law enforcement officially related rewards. We understand family and friends have rewards, have a reward set up in place, but that is not something that we can speak on.
Is there some way that pawn shops within the area have access to the possible necklaces appearing?
In California anyway, I can't speak on Nevada because I don't know the laws there. The pawn shops are required to send in notifications and slips to local law enforcement, and then we'd have the ability to then enter those into databases. We do use them for like burglaries and things like that. There's a time frame of when they have to turn that in. That wouldn't be something that would necessarily be immediate. And often one of the difficulties, and that's why I think a lot of emphasis is maybe on some of the jewelry that's on there. I don't know that I can guarantee those match exactly what she has, but often they're entered in as gold chain. And so, that's that. You can only imagine the number of gold chains that are put into pawn shops.
You've received over 500 tips and video evidence. Within all of that, were there any sightings of Kiely?
So from what the detectives have reviewed so far, nothing has panned out. However, they continue to work and review video, and we're talking hours and hours of video that they're going to have to pour through, which they are. We've dedicated many detectives to this effort, and they are actively, as we speak, reviewing video to see if there's any clue that would lead us in the right direction.
And Lieutenant, may I ask one more follow-up question? I think this might be important for a lot of people. A lot of the people that we're dealing with here are juveniles. And a point that you mentioned is the fact that if you're not comfortable coming to law enforcement, to go to someone who is comfortable going to law enforcement. Why are you telling us that today, and what's your messaging behind that? And what do you want parents to know? And maybe on the off chance that a child is seeing this on social media or however they're seeing it, what do you want them to know?
So, we understand that the uniform can be intimidating, and so we don't want that to be a stopgap for these juveniles. In speaking with community members last night, we were speaking about that fact, and if you have a coach or a mentor that you trust that can come to law enforcement for you, by all means, or use that as an avenue. And so we just don't want there to be any hesitation on the part of these juveniles to come forward with information.
The Code Red system is something that's been in place. Why is it just now being used to find Kiely?
Yeah, we have been talking about it for a while. It does take a lot. You have to break things up geographically. There are some things. It's not a traditional tool. It's not intended for a missing person. We had some faith that some of these other systems were going to move forward, and we put some emphasis onto it as we kind of built out a strategic plan to push out our Code Red. It takes multiple people. It's not like a one person. I can put out a Code Red pretty quickly on like a radius or something like that. But if you jam the system and it stops working and you got to wait for reset, and then half get it, half don't, a person here, and it causes some confusion. So we've been working on it for probably a day-ish, yesterday into the day, and we were trying to pick out a strategic plan to put out with Facebook to notify. And really, we're kind of hoping for a resurgence of bodies, right? Volunteers are getting tired of being in the field and searching. They're coming out because they care. I did search and rescue for a long time, and the love and energy that comes out selflessly to do those things, it can get exhausting when people aren't seeing that there's a goal or a direction, and we're all feeling that. So we kind of try to pick our planning of our timing to be effective, and also some of the things that it takes logistically, and I'm sure Everbridge is relatively the same. We were trying to work in conjunction and make sure our message is clear and concise and matches and things like that. Our hope really for putting out today is that we can get a real surge of searchers and things coming into this weekend and reinvigorate. And we talked to family today about the potential of messaging and things like that to let people know that they care and they're on board and they really appreciate the community support and the things that are going on. But we're trying to be strategic about things, but try not to abuse or lose things and stuff like that. So I'll leave it at that. It wasn't necessarily perfect, and maybe it could have used earlier, and we acknowledge that. We didn't really know it was going to be what it is either, and so this has grown into something that wasn't really anticipated in day 1 or 2. We do searches all the time. Nevada County probably goes over 40 searches every year, not to this extent, and things that don't usually go this long because we're usually pretty successful. So pretty stressful on us as well, and more so on the family, and it's hard to look at them and not have answers. So, yeah.
We're going to take 2 more questions.
Is there, on your recent release that you came out today of agencies that have been assisting you, we noticed that Homeland Security has been removed from that list. Have they stepped away from the investigation? Are they still actively here, or have they pulled out?
We had Homeland Security listed earlier because they were assisting on some technical aspects of the investigation. It caused a lot of questions, and that may be why they've been removed at this point. I can tell you that there aren't any personnel involved from Homeland Security at this point, only FBI agents.
Final question. With searchers getting tired and new searchers coming in, and with this new technology you're using, can you reiterate that the people coming into town, because we're going to have a big influctuation of people into this community coming in starting tomorrow through the weekend, and if they do want to use those resources and go searching, can you explain to them where they need to come and they need to check the QR code and then use that before they enter the field instead of just entering the field if they're wanting to help?
Yeah, JD, thanks. I mean, I probably should have started with that.
It's okay.
There's a
We
lot
just
going
need to
on.
Make
Yeah.
sure they know they're coming.
Outside the box thinking, the teams came up with a great idea to create a mapping system for civilians and folks that aren't necessarily professionally trained to do certain things. The family has a trailer here in the rec center's parking lot. Rec center's been fantastic at allowing us to use this area and conduct media and community relations, but the family's been out in the trailer in the parking lot with the assistance from friends and community members. There's a system that allows you to log on to the CalTopo app. It's designed specifically for people trekking out in the woods, things of that nature. Also, we use it for search and rescue, emergency evacuations, and all kinds of things. People in the field can download the app, come down here. It can be accessed off of web pages as well on computers. But our goal for having the civilian side of CalTopo is people going into the field and helping us narrow areas that have been looked at and searched. We don't necessarily want to open up of, hey, here's where we've been searching, because one, we haven't found anything in those areas. but we also want to encourage people to go out and then be able to share those tracks. And so the reason it's not being, it has been copied and put online, and it is accessible out there, but we don't want 1 million people from the United States logging on to this. We want people like JD's pointing out that are coming here to the community and are like, hey, you know what, I can take a route over here, or I can go and look at this. We don't necessarily want people to turn on tracks and just log tracks while they're driving around town and going to concerts or doing things that are still going on in life. We want people who are logging their tracks because they're actively looking and they're staring off on the side of the highway, or they're walking around Stampede Lake or anywhere that they might be in the area, actively looking, not just logging on because they want to see what everybody else is doing. In the event too many people log on for unnecessary reasons, it could overload that server, and we may have to shut that map off, start a new map with a new code. So we're really encouraging people that want to truly participate to be able to use it, but not just anybody throughout the world, because at this point the QR code is out there. We didn't post it for a reason, and it's specifically for that, but it is a great tool. This hasn't really been done to my knowledge before, so we're really relying on the community to try to utilize this system appropriately to help out. That'll allow us to overlay on our current tracks and things we have. We're not sharing our tracks because it's a secret. We also don't want to condense people to come to where we're at, because that's where we are searching. But we also don't want to dissuade anybody that feels like they can go somewhere, because we're not perfect. And what if we did miss something and somebody else could have seen it? So we're not sharing it intentionally for a lot of various reasons, but it's not because it's a secret and it's hidden. We will share those maps and show things for people, but we don't want to influence a lot of things for various reasons. Good question, and thank you.
Thank you again to everyone for coming. Thank you to the family of Kiely. We really appreciate working with you, although we wish were under different circumstances. Any updates, any and all updates, will be put on the Placer County Sheriff's Office social media accounts, so please continue to monitor those. We will have the latest updates on there. Thank you so much.